Vibing with the Population. This is another episode of Do-Rag with the Cape Road. Trying to be consistent with this, putting it on a schedule of trying to drop an episode every Wednesday and Friday at like 8:15. So be sure to follow my Instagram, and I'll put my Instagram and I'll put the podcast Instagram, which is another Instagram of mine, in the description. And like, comment, subscribe, all that fancy stuff people say in these videos or whatever to get the traction or whatnot. But podcasting and all these other things are just basically just journals. Like, you don't got time to really do. Well, no, we got time to do things, but now we want to feel like everybody should know what we're doing, and even in the most, I guess, intimate kind of parts of our life, where just like journaling, we're podcasting, but some people take their podcasting into it being a journal, into like just chasing after what's going on in the times and just being news reporting, because depending on the country you live in, which is pretty much every country in our society, news can be very skewed as far as the ones that's to the masses. So a lot of the times you get your best news from some random person who does a 20-minute video or whatever. But I'm back in America, like I said, a couple podcasts prior, or a couple episodes prior. I was in Thailand. We'll go back probably about the summertime. Yeah, inshallah, about the summer. Just been back, trying to get myself back in order, sleep-wise. I barely sleep anyway, but now I wake up at like 3 in the morning, and I just be up, just living life. So while I'm up, like, I'll just be looking into more educational stuff, looking at my books, not reading them yet. I gotta finish one book I was reading, but looking at my books and watching sports highlights, because like I'm a fan of the Golden State Warriors, but I've been a fan like when it was trash, not when they got good all of a sudden. Because Monte Ellis, the Mississippi Bullet, is like my favorite basketball player, and then there's Stephen Curry, and then me and Stephen Curry have the same birthday, so that's also really cool to me. But watch them. I just watch highlights because I don't really. Sometimes I'll watch the games, but usually it's just highlights. But when I watch it, I try to watch it as a person watching somebody at work doing their job. Because I used to be real big on like, yo, my team this and my team that. And it's like, fam, first of all, I don't have no stock in this team. If anything, I've spent money on them. Like, I bought Stephen Curry and Warriors gear, but I don't play for them. But like, it'd be like my team this, my team that, or like getting into these heated arguments with other people who watch sports as well. And like, as if we have any ownership or play for the team or even know these people. And it's pretty wild the way we dedicate ourselves to teams. Like, I live in Ohio, so I live in Columbus to be exact. That's the capital. They don't have a team, but Cincinnati, as far as a professional team, Cincinnati has teams, Cleveland has teams. Columbus has a professional soccer team and a hockey team, but they don't have a professional football or basketball team. Nevertheless, they do have OSU, which is like one of the top college football teams. And I've been to parties where people are watching OSU football, and it's like watching people watch sports made me realize how insane and how tribalistic we are about certain things. Because it's like, yo, the people that are watching, like, yeah, I was born and raised in Ohio, went to OSU or whatever, so this is like my alma mater, so I'm watching this college football. So I've seen people yelling and screaming at these kids. Like, these are dudes that are like 18, 19 at best, and screaming, irate, pissed off, like, oh, you could have caught that, you could have did this on the third. And it's like, fam, you couldn't do less than a percentage of what this person is doing right now. So how dare you tell this person, just shut up and watch the game. Like, how dare you tell this person what they can and can't be doing. But that entitlement comes from the tribalistic kind of mindset we have with these sports teams. Like, when I'm up, like for comedy purposes, there's a few pages that I've frequented on YouTube that dedicate themselves to basically tearing into the legacy of LeBron James. I watch the videos because I find it hilarious, because it's like, bro, he is a whole adult man that's a private contractor, basically, is what sports players are. And I'll get into that reason why in a second. But a private contractor who's contracted by said team, playing a game that is now a game that distracts the masses from what goes on in the world for astronomical amounts of money, and been doing it at a high level, whatever, for his whole life, and he doesn't know you exist, but you spend multiple videos. Like, there's dudes who dedicate YouTube pages to to tearing them down, and I find that to be insane. And it's like, bro, is it that serious? Like, do you care that much? But it's a tribalistic thing, because these people come from like the tribes of loving Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or whoever the hell else. But you realize, like, even the holding on to, like, say I'm from New York, so like if I'm like, yo, I'm a Knick, blah blah blah, second third, it's like the New York Knicks are a business. Like, those dudes that play for that team, majority of them ain't from New York. You don't know them, and they're private contractors, because at the end of the day, they are contracted to play for said team. Whatever, every few years they're a free agent, and that team has to sign. That business has to offer them another contract. They have to agree upon terms and sign back. And or while they're playing for said team, that team can trade them at any moment. So really, you're just rooting for an organization. You're rooting for a corporate, like a business. Because the Knicks aren't, like, these ain't dudes from New York. Like, I never played for the Knicks. Like, I've been to the Garden. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's weird. Like, it's like I said, back to like the college football, like the tribal, just like spazzing out. Like, I remember one time I was on OSU campus. Like, I was walking somewhere, and I walked by the bus stop, and some dude had on like a Michigan jacket and hat or whatever. And somebody from OSU, like, that was going on the bus, like, or from Ohio, period, said something slick to them. Like, they almost legit fought about color, like they was in a gang. Like, this is Bloods and Crips, or like, what are we doing, fam? You realize that neither of these colleges care about you, and the kids on the teams, even if you know them, they don't care. Like, they don't care that much to fight a random pedestrian for wearing the wrong colors. Like, people in certain hoods really died about that when it comes to gang stuff, and that's a whole nother episode. But it is pretty profound how we hold on to, like, these teams and all these things. We have them in high regard, and we feel like we're a part of it. Like, you see, like, being from New York, like, I never was a fan of the Knicks. Been to a couple of Yankees games, but never really was a fan of them, because the Yankees, to me, like, they just look, that organization just feels like the cops. Like, I'm just nah. It's just like you have they have to shave to play on the team. Like, you have no facial hair. I already struggle with that, but they can't have no facial hair. They wear the pinstripes. I don't know. It just never really interested me to be a fan of the Yankees like that. I've watched the only time I've ever watched baseball is when the Yankees got destroyed by the Arizona Diamondbacks, and then I was a fan of the Diamondbacks colors because I like the purple and all that other stuff. Nevertheless, it's just really wild how we latch on to these businesses, and because that's what you're latching on to. You're not latching on. The team is a business. Like, these are random people that they contracted to play for the said business, and it's the fandom and whatnot. You see, like, it branches off to things like when the Olympics. So you have, different countries or whatnot playing whatever sports, doing whatever thing, competing for their country to win gold, to bring it back to their homeland. Which rooting and cheering for that makes sense, because so you have a legit vested interest because of the place you come from. This person is person of that place, so it's like, yo, it's camaraderie type thing. But at the same time, that's still a business, because if you look at something like America, like for the most part, American basketball has been, for the most part, has been like winning Olympic stuff. Like they didn't win FIBA this year, but winning like gold and all these other things. Been doing their thing for a lot of time, right? And majority of the time on that podium is a bunch of black folk, right? What's wild about that is those black dudes who are on that podium, when they come back home, I mean, they're still rich millionaires or whatever, but it's funny that those same people, but saying the people that look like them get treated how they get treated back here. Like you're still going through like internal struggles back in America. Like there's still a police industrial complex issue. There's still a poverty issue. There's still a food desert issue. There's still a medical issue. There's still a lot of issues here that haven't been fixed, that just been pushed off to the side, that if anybody brings it up, it's like, oh, that was so long ago. Oh, let it go, bro. It's like, fam, you realize that a lot of things here haven't like switched up. Like one of the wildest things I ever learned about was one of the last like enslaved people in America bought their freedom in like the 60s in Mississippi. Not like the year 60, the 1960s, fam. So you gotta see that you're rooting for these businesses and corporations. Like a state is a business. Like you pay it taxes to be here, but technically just a piece of land. This where you live at is, it could be like Ohio, New York, whatever these places you live in. But really it's just somebody decided to call it this place, X place, and then they decided to tell you that you have to pay to be here. But it's really a business. So even all that nationalism, you still giving it up for a corporation that really kind of don't care about you, depending on where you at. But a lot of the places that where you are, they really kind of don't care about you. And I say all that to say, like, be careful of what you attach yourself to. Like, be mindful of how you operate in this space and realize, like, the allegiances that you're giving your all to, like, for what, right? Like, we talk about patriotism, we talk about fandom. Those two things are, like I say, pretty much the same thing. You can tie yourself to, like, you be like, my mom or my dad was in the military, my brother plays for this team. Like, I get that. You can root for them, right? That makes sense because you personally know them. But in the grand scheme of things, if you tying yourself to a business does what? That gets the business more money. Like America, you be like, yeah, I love America, yada, yada, yada. It's like, cool. It's no one's saying you can't be a fan of where you are. You can't be a fan of a team or whatever. Not, but it's more like realize how you engage in that. Like, are you feeling that you're beholden to everything that this team does? Like, do you feel like, they was right for invading that country? Yeah, that makes sense. Here, being in the 20-year war and spending buku amounts of money and all these deaths, that makes mad sense. Or you be like, yeah, or a team like, we on a 15-game loser streak. I think the Pistons are. Like, I'm still riding with it forever. Like, you don't have to. Like, if you want to switch like, I've seen people legit argue and yell about, even me prefacing my Warriors statement, have to, like, justify you liking a team. I don't have to justify anything. Even if you love wherever you from, you don't have to justify it. Or, like, I want to say this and a third, like, I love America because that's why. No, you can just love it. But it just realize it's a business because you pay into it. Because what is America? What is the Golden State Warriors at its core, right? Because if you start peeling back the layers, you realize that, it's just something that that provides a service, whether it be entertainment or social structure or infrastructure that I happen to reside in. But like these businesses that you deal with, I think with patriotism and with fandom, we don't hold them accountable enough for certain things. Like, I think, I honestly, I see more people, like, getting sports teams to kind of fold and do what they need to do quicker than they do their own local governments. Like, they fought with Washington Commanders forever about changing the name, and then there was like arguments if there was some native people that were actually with it. There's some not. Like I remember seeing a piece by Brian Gumble about on I forgot what his show was on HBO, but they did a piece about that like 20 years ago, and been arguing over should they change the name. Finally changed the name. Finally got Daniel Snyder out of there because he was wilding for mad long, but like that was because of like fans and just like perception or whatnot, but it really came down to like money at the end of the day because it's a business. The NFL could care less about your morality. They don't get, none of these businesses care about morals in the sense of what to you, what generally is right and wrong, so to speak. They just care like, are you paying us though? Because like you can live in America, right? But are you paying taxes? Are you a tax-paying individual? Oh, nah? Oh, you ducking taxes? Or you going to jail? Oh, now you're not paying taxes? Or you probably homeless. You probably don't got nowhere to be. Oh, yeah, I mean, we got some kind of, like, situations that can help you out if you poor. I mean, if you, without a home or food, insecure, or just literally just can't have food. Like, you just don't have money for food. Yeah, but we really don't do as much to that. Like, if you look at the social service systems, like, they're so stressed and under manned and whatnot, and you like, and we constantly, you see people constantly highlighting this mad think pieces and essays and talks and whatnot. There's some organizations that actually really do something, and there's some that just use fake altruism. They just give things and not money to fix stuff and don't hold anybody accountable. And you're like, yo, what are we really doing? Like these businesses that we dealing with, like, are they, like, is it worth it? Like, if I'm going to McDonald's, so like say I'm going to McDonald's and my local McDonald's and the burgers is trash, and they've been trash for like a while, I kind of stopped going there, right? Like, maybe you make a couple complaints, but then you kind of figure out either make some complaints and be on them to fix it. Like, nah, fam, like, what we got to do to get these patties right? Like, stop microwaving them. Like, I need you to fry those. Like, we need to figure this out, season it correctly. Like, I'm not for all that. Or do you just go somewhere else? Like, do you go and invest in another business? Like, do you leave the country, be an expat? Like, do you switch teams? Like, what do you do? Like, I think we are allowing ourselves to acquiesce to whatever we deem to be like the thing that we hold dear to our identity in regards to like a team or like a state or country, like a nation state. I call it corporation. I've come to that term that these are just businesses. Like, if you riding out with them, like if you are American, if you call yourself an American, you call yourself a fan or whatever, you call yourself this and the third, look to hold your everything about the place you at accountable. Because it's no different than if I were to walk into Macy's and I see clothes thrown all over the place and I see like a lackadaisical workforce. I might ask like, yo, what's going on? Like, not come in on some aggressive, because I've worked retail before, but like, yo, what's going on? Rather than just pick up the clothes off the floor, dust them off and go cop, or walk out talking shit like, oh yeah, this and this. It's like, you got to hold these businesses accountable. So this isn't like a long drawn thing, but like, yo, go vote. But I do believe in voting locally. I really don't care about the president, voting for that. Why I say that is because basically you vote locally because those people you get to see, and you can you are in arm's reach of them, so to speak, a lot of the time. So they get to hear you a lot. Once they make it to K Street, like once they're in Congress and all that, they already millionaires by that time. Like, I think more than half of Congress are millionaires, and they all wild old because they just been getting chicken forever, because they just been beholden to their lobbyists for so long, and they don't really care about their constituents. What they do is just virtue signal and just pump a bunch of bull, but they don't really care to change anything. So once they get there, it's kind of a lost cause. But you still vote, whatever. Do your thing. I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying definitely vote locally, because you got to realize you got to hold these people accountable. Whether it be your team being trash or your state being trash. It's all trash, bro. And and while you doing that, and while you holding them accountable and putting them where they should be so you can be in a better place, is make sure your do-rag got the cape tip and rolled. All right, peace.